I'm on a date tonight, so I'll have to just fucking go to... No, I'll just do it in front of her, shouldn't I?
Going! He's kept going! He scored! Oh, Stockport pressure. And the header into the back of the net! That's Palmer! Armstrong, made it again. And a superb goal! Johnny did it! Lisa! Rose tries to get the ball in. Wilkinson! The ball at home! His first goal in 13 games. Towards Sars, thinking he's going to goal. And the score! Oh, Paddy Madden! It's a 5-star performance from Stockport County.
All right, we got a small house, but we got a big bloody heart, I tell you.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of SK3 TV to be named after an ice cream. Yes, it is episode 99 of the show for the thinking county fan. As long as what that county fan's thinking is, I really want some Sunday evening county insight that doesn't take itself too seriously. Well, we have got an hour just for you, and also for other people, but specifically for you who wants that, with me, Nick, and it's Ben. Hello.
Hello, how are we?
We are back, baby. Back on Sunday nights. It's good.
We are. I was trying to think of a pop culture Sunday night reference other than kind of Heartbeat, Going Back to School, Dread, but I haven't got one, so we'll go with that. Yeah,
I had Antiques Roadshow and Heartbeat that I couldn't move past.
A weekly dose of county dread coming at you for the next.
Yeah, and there's plenty of it.
Won't be an hour. We always say an hour. It's more like an hour and 15, hour 20.
Yeah, I'm block booked until 9:30, so done. That should enable us to cover everything as part one, because there could easily be a part two. Do not forget, we are, of course, brought to you in association with the fantastic guys and gals as part of the Blackbird group, encompassing Blackbird Kitchen on the Pans at Gorilla Manchester, Lens Chippy Droylsden, and the newly relaunched Blackbird Burger, which, as of this week, is also available in Lens Chippy. Not just a Just Eat thing now, it's all happening. Food. Yeah. I started experimenting last week with We Are Fueled By, rather than sponsored by or in association with, and I quite liked it.
I'm going to possibly disagree with you on that. We Are Fueled By. It's a bit Bartlett. It's a bit Diary of a Sea.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. It's very Huel.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind admitting that I'm a Huelsman. I do.
I'm a Huelsman now. Yeah.
But you're going to end up with like a Blackbird burger, just like product placement, just kind of slowly congealing and getting colder and more flaccid as the show goes on if you're not careful. Just
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, like all them pastries on the overlap.
Exactly.
With like the little business card for the pastry makers there. Yeah, we'll do a bit of that. In terms of other admin, do not forget that Jonathan the Johnny Hatter is live every Thursday. Keep an eye on his socials to find out what's happening this week. Also, do not forget to like and subscribe and do all that stuff using the QR code in the top left-hand corner, because that is the world we live in now. I read a thing last week, Ben, that said we are running out of QR codes. Got really panicked, and it turned out it was bollocks, so it's okay.
Just make some more. Problem solved.
Well, that's it. I could not believe that I actually fell for it. At first, I looked at the date. It wasn't the 1st of April, so I thought, oh, yeah, it must be true. And then, no, it wasn't. It was just engagement farming.
Clickbait. Fodder.
Yeah, and I fell for it. Right, what have we got to talk about this week? Don't have to talk about Wembley again. Let's face it. Probably don't have to talk about Wembley again this season. We have got Wimbledon to cover. We have got Exeter. We will box off some very earnest football chat. And then, because let's face it, that's not why people come. What people come for is the skewering, the unfiltered skewering of the big picture stuff, both on and off the pitch. Because last time you were on, Ben, we discussed the mechanics of a blip or a slump. Yes. And we decided that at the time, we were very much in a blip.
We needed the perspective to give the definitive answer as to where we were. We needed to zoom out. It was easy to categorize it as a slump at the time, but I think if we zoomed out, it probably was but a blip. It was just doesn't barely register on the upwards trajectory that we keep finding ourselves in the 2020 Stockport County.
And despite the fact that there will be things to whinge about, both on and off the pitch, that we can pick apart. But we have been in good form in the league. That's worth bearing in mind. Playing a lot more like how we expect a Dave Challoner team to play. The key thing for me has been the early goals, considering how much of the season we spent whinging about the fact that we'll be on top for 15, 20 minutes and don't take advantage of it. We're doing that now. That's fine. Boxed off. I'm going to put it to you, though. We'll go a bit more in depth in the Exeter game later, but I just want to gauge the mood. When an opposition goalkeeper scores an equaliser or a winner against you, for me, I enjoyed that just as much as I enjoyed our goals. Because for me, that's one of the few things that happen during a football match that everyone can be united in thinking, yeah, I want to see that. Others, a dog on the pitch. Don't see it anymore with the rise of the bowl-style stadium.
Yeah, the orange ball, you don't see it anymore either. But I do think you're right, with the keeper scoring, it's one of those things, if you're with your mates, watch, scores coming in or whatever, and someone kind of chirps up with, oh, this thing's happened, this has happened, this has happened. People are like, oh, yeah, whatever, might raise an eyebrow. But then if it's the keeper scored, people do like, what? Fuck off. I know they haven't. And everyone kind of leans in to see what's going on. So, yeah, I'm with it. And like my initial reaction to it was, I think I posted like the second it happened. It was like, their keeper scored, lol. Because that's exactly you can't get angry about it. It's just... I was like,
brilliant. That's great. That's great. Exactly. Outfield players having to go in goal is another one that obviously is another one that's pretty much died out because of 9 subs and all that caper. It's interesting as well. I was thinking about it yesterday after their keeper scored, and if you're watching them come in watching the goals come in on Soccer Saturday, and you see that a goalkeeper scored, you can immediately work out what's happened. If it's 90th minute onwards, he's gone up for a corner or a free kick. Anything before that is a wind-assisted clearance. That's it.
I was almost... 2 of the 3 words, I was going to call it a wind-assisted punt. But you said wind-assisted clearance. Yeah. So we'll take that. That's exactly what has happened. He's lumped it forward, the wind's caught it, or the keeper who has conceded has misjudged a bounce. That's the only way a goalkeeper can score prior to stoppage time.
Yeah. Quick thought exercise for you related to that before we move on to Wimbledon. How would Gary Weaver have greeted that goal yesterday?
Oh, I can only imagine, but I tell you
there's something Grecian going in there.
Speaking of Weaver, he did the Coventry game against Blackburn.
He did indeed. I was hoping you spotted this.
And as you know, they always have a pre-prepared line. I'm going to come back to that in a moment, actually, as a wider thought. But because obviously Coventry, for those who don't know, Coventry obviously bombed to shit in the war, famously destroyed. And his line was, from ruins to renaissance, as Coventry got promoted. And I loved that. Loved it. I even messaged, I won't name him, like another Sky commentator who I'm friends with, and said, love that. That was really good. And he agreed.
We had an in-depth conversation about his Salford commentary and thought it was just the best thing ever. But he just keeps outdoing himself. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, he is good. I do like Weaver. But I'm going back to that pre-prepared line and, the ongoing kind of trauma of ITV replacing Tilsley with Sam Matterface. Because I remember when Greece won Euro 2004, I'm sure it was Tilsley said, Greece is the word. As in, Greece have won. That's a smart line. And when Greece beat England in, was it a qualifier or a friendly the other year at Wembley? Matterface was there, and he repeated it. Greece is the word. You can't do that. You can't. I'm not having that pillock, Sam Matterface.
That's not even the worst thing Matterface does. Have you? I think it might have been flagged up on Football Cliches actually, but he likes to say the referee is incommunicado with his 4th official. That is not what incommunicado means. And it's not just, he says it every game.
Well, do you remember way back on this podcast, we spoke about Matterface and we ended up sharing that clip of him saying about an opposition player's shot. I mean, he just completely lost his train of thought, and he described it as being like a glass of cordial, which was 1 part cordial, 15 parts water, and that was during a live fixture. Come on, this man is like ITV's head commentator now. Get Tilsley back.
Yeah, just have Tilsley do it. I will often, if there's a Premier League game or Champions League game that I fancy watching, which is rare, but I will search for the World Feed stream just so I can get a bit of Tilsley.
Yeah,
because you know, you gotta. Did you ever find out? You did. We didn't report it on here, but we were searching to see if he'd ever commentated on a county game, and you found an answer. Did you know?
I found a clip. I don't know. I don't think it would have been live because it wasn't broadcast on ITV, and I don't know if it was him retrospectively doing the commentary. But certainly, when we played Southampton at the Dell in January '97, 29th of January '97, there's a very short clip of Andy Much scoring, and it's Clive Tilsley with the voiceover, and it's used on the ITV build-up to the Borough game, the first leg. There's a kind of a 5-minute window before the game, and it talks about County's run, and it kicks off at Blackburn, shows West Ham, and then it very quickly shows the Dell to kind of illustrate our cup run, and it's Clive Tilsley. And I'm sure it's the only one I've ever found anyway, where Tilsley has commentated on us. And I can't think if there would have been anything else, unless he ended up doing anything kind of ITV digital based. But
maybe there was.
I think he did.
Did ITV possibly have a highlight show for the Coca-Cola Cup that season?
They probably did, but he didn't do he didn't do Borough because Brian Moore did it. Because he did the games live because they were both on ITV. So Southampton, possibly, maybe there is. Were the games on Sky? They were on Sky, weren't they? Whether ITV, I couldn't say. I don't know. I don't know.
That'd be my guess anyway.
Yeah, I've never found anything else with Tilsley on it, and certainly since kind of mid-2000s onwards, when he was number one ITV commentator, he's never covered us because he was too big, we were too low down.
Yeah. So I'm assuming he became. So did Brian Moore leave? He must have left between 97 and 99 then, because if Brian Moore was lead commentator in 97,
I think was his final game that England-Germany did Hamann score the last game at Wembley?
Yeah, that would have been 2000. But Tilsley did the 99 Champions League, didn't he, for ITV?
Yes, he did. So Moore obviously didn't do that. So either way, Tilsley was late 90s. I don't know why that Germany game sticks out. Brian Moore died around 2001, I think. So yeah. But yeah, if Tilsley did the 99 Champions League final, then Moore must have been gone before then.
I mean, that's so much more enjoyable than discussing the relative merits of Kyle Wootton as an emergency centre-back. We'll get onto that in a second. Kyle Wootton, centre-back. Right, firstly, yesterday there was a lot of talk of Stockport being forced into using Kyle Wootton as an auxiliary centre-back, which... a great use of the word. No, we're not being forced into it now. We've got another centre back from loan at Aldershot, who it must have been decided that he's well off the level, which makes sense. So I think I said last week that it was one thing him doing it for 10 minutes against Luton, who weren't really attempting to attack; they were trying to close the game down. Yeah. He did it for 90 minutes against, let's be honest, one of the worst teams we've ever seen at this level. And I'm going back to mid-90s here as well. I've never seen such terrible fodder. They were really, really bad.
They just had they looked. They had nothing. They didn't they looked like they had nothing. They had nothing. Of course, they've got injuries. Everyone has injuries though, and they will do well to. They probably only need one more win to stay up. But where on earth are they going to get that from?
You just don't see it, do you?
No, we've played them twice in 4 league games, and quickest turnaround, by the way, since we played Kings Lynn in 2021 when we played them twice in 3 games. They just offered nothing. Can't see them getting an even goal, let alone a win.
No. Even with, I mean, Exeter are in a similar predicament, and yesterday you saw fight and heart and spirit from them. There was none of that from them. They played like a team who've been down for 2 or 3 months. Like even Port Vale aren't putting in performances like that. They're actually trying to show a bit as they tumble down. But Wimbledon, embarrassingly bad. I couldn't believe it.
No, that's it. And so I think going back to the Wootton point, yeah, I mean, you can say it worked. He played centre half. We kept a clean sheet, and all of that. Of course, we've got injuries. Do we persist with Kyle Wootton at the back? What's he more effective as? Is he more effective, or is the team more effective with Kyle Wootton as a focal point going forward, or is the team more effective with Kyle Wootton as a centre half?
Yeah, I mean, you'd argue based on the final 10, 15 minutes yesterday when we were really under pressure, Kyle Wootton was just what we needed up top to have a bit of an outball because it just kept on coming back. That's
the thing. I mean, I'm going to be quite blunt here, and I don't try not to like dig players out too much, but it is not working with Alafe. I don't know.
No.
Since he's come back, he has been very just off it, just completely off it. He's not really. I don't say he's not bringing anything. You know, he still kind of has those runs that he brings, and you know, but he's always had more to his game than just scoring goals. But it's like play. I don't want to say it's like playing with 10 men because that's a bit much. But he is not doing what we need him to do at the moment. And you know, it's not just him. There's other players who aren't necessarily performing at the level we've needed to. We've certainly seen that across the season. There's not been players at the level we need them to be at. But that's exacerbated with Wootton playing at centre half because when we send it long. Okay, early on in the game, Sidibe can go and chase it and run everyone ragged. We've established he can't play more than an hour at that pace. So he comes on, Alafe kind of tries to play that Sidibe role, just isn't doing it, isn't doing the Wootton role, isn't really being that threat on the break once teams push up, you know, as Exeter were doing yesterday. So I don't really know what he's bringing. So Wootton being that guy who can hold the ball up, who, you know, we know can battle and just keep it there and relieve a little bit of the pressure and bring other players up the pitch. We're missing that massively. And I don't know if the benefit he brings at the back outweighs the loss of what we get. So it's a tough one because Sidibe can't play 90 minutes. You know, he shagged that for an hour. Who else do we have to bring on? Really? There's not a lot. Really, so
we're starting to. There's starting to be a real lack of options there, and it's all well and good talking about when we get Dacres Cogley back, that's another body for defence. Well, it is in a back three, like on the right of a back three, but having him as part of a two with he's a full back / wing back who can obviously there's a lot of transferable skills there playing as a wide centre back in a three. Yeah, not in a two. And it genuinely got a horrible feeling we're going to go into the playoffs with Kyle Wootton as centre-back. And that is not... I mean, I know a lot of it's enforced. I don't think anyone could have known that Hoskonen would still not have featured for us. But you can buy his shirt for £250 on the website.
So, I mean, again, we will come back to these. The club keep doing. But... yeah, and none of this is to dig out Wootton at all. And you know, to say that he's, you know, because God, he's by far. I think he will comfortably win Player of the Season.
And he alongside Ollie Norwood, he just made it into the EFL League One team of the season as well.
He was on top to be like the divisional top scorer. He's had a phenomenal season. He's integral to what we do, and he's doing a job at centre half. And you know, and that will just kind of boost his kind of cult hero status with us. That this kind of role that he's playing, so it's absolutely no criticism of him whatsoever. It's not a criticism of anyone really. You know, there's no one's doing this for a bit of a wind up. I just don't know. It feels like we are missing something going forward, though. And you could say, well, we scored 3 yesterday and we scored 2 at Wimbledon and all of this, so we're not missing him that much. But I think having him there to, like I say, hold the ball up, relieve that pressure, do something which Alafe is just not offering us at the moment. I think there's potentially a bit of a balancing act to be struck. Because
I think Jack Diamond looks very lost as well, not having Kyle Wootton in and around him, as it were.
Yeah, I agree. He's another one, Diamond. He's kind of been very. He's overall the season, he's been a positive, but I don't think he's having his best spell at the moment. He's still kind of going through, a lot of blind alleys, and the decision he sometimes makes isn't the best. But then that's the case with arguably a lot of League One footballers. But what hopefully we are seeing now is any kind of slack that Diamond is leaving is, definitely whisper it quietly territory. Maybe Malik Mothersill might actually offer what we've hoped he will offer all season. Even more whisper it even more quietly. Lewis Fiorini, last couple of games, hasn't looked.
This is astonishing. I'm starting to seriously contemplate the idea of if we get to the playoff final, putting a bet on those two, those two combining for the goal that sends us up would just.
The one.
Yeah, that would just be peak county. That would.
Fiorini shirt in the club shop for £250. I'll buy that. Not Hoskinen.
Yeah. I love that with the Hoskinen shirt. Though. I mean, we'll get onto it again later, but with with selling other players' shirts, you've still got even though we know they're not, they can still sort of not deny, not put out there that it's not match worn, so people will assume that it's match worn. But you can't even do that with Hoskinen now. It's just quite clearly a shirt they've had printed up in the club shop. Or is it one of his match issue shirts for this season, and they've just totally written off the idea of him playing and said, right, sod it.
Maybe speaking slightly out of turn, I would need to go back and read it. I saw it earlier and was a bit like, fuck off. Like, why are you doing this? And like I'm trying to be kind. They've marketed it as the shirt that he was unveiled in, I think. So basically the shirt he wore for his photo shoot. Certainly that's what they've done with Sidibe's. It's the shirt that he wore for his photo shoot, and that's this. And everything has a marketing kind of value and blurb attached to it. But I would question just how much that is a part of the kind of the fabric of county's history in the way that the kind of the blurb suggests it is. But Hoskinen's, it may well be the shirt that he wore when Petch took his photos when he first arrived at the club. But that was the last anyone saw of him, other than him limping out with that open training session in front of the kids. Like that's it. And I think it's such a bizarre thing to list, because Ollie Norwood, you kind of think, yeah, all right. I mean, I'm not sure I'd pay £250 for a shirt he's worn on a press day. But then you think, well, maybe if they'd made it a bit clearer in the description, does it come with the sleeve patches? Okay, maybe it does. It's got the back of shirt sponsor that you can't buy on the replicas. So if you were of that persuasion, you could say, I've got a match issue Ollie Norwood shirt. Which is, in one respect is true, because it's the same spec as the player shirts. Yeah. £250's a bit steep for a sort of match issue one, but whatever, someone might buy into it. Same with Sidibe's. It's got the back of shirt sponsor. Doesn't make it clear where it's got the sleeve patches. So County, if you're watching this, make it clear in the description if it's got sleeve patches. But the Hoskinen one is, come on, don't charge £250 for that. That's
a posh.
Taking a liberty, as someone might say.
Yeah.
And also, think of other players they've got, like Dacres Cogley. If it's players that we've unveiled or signed this season who've had these media shirts made up, Dacres Cogley, put his up there. That's better than Hoskinen's. Who else have we signed? Brad Hills. We signed him midway through. Certainly not at the start of the season, because he came on at Orient, I think, in August. So there'll be a Brad Hills shirt somewhere. Use that. Someone might, Brad Hills, someone might pay £250 for that. Dacres Cogley, arguably, at least he's played a part. Hoskinen, though, no. And it's not even got the back of shirt sponsor on Hoskinen's, because he's been so far away from being anywhere near the team. They've not even thought, let's put a back of shirt sponsor on him just in case he might get fit. Because what's the point?
It says it all. I mean, I dread to think what they've got planned for the Louis Barry shirt. God knows what's going to be happening with that. Probably some sort of Blue Peter time capsule or something.
Do you know what?
Like, this is where we were.
I don't want to say I was pleased about the kind of the whole. No, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to go there. Forget it. Move on. That's
click that. That's the bit I'll post of the reel tonight. Just that, nothing else. You mentioned Mothersill and Fiorini. Fiorini, I think, is one we'd just written off. He may well still be off in the summer, but he's certainly making a good stab. Nothing flashy, but he did look a tidy player. That was the sort of thing. If he'd come on as a sub against us, and I'd be thinking, oh yeah, he's got something in.
Exactly. And the thing about him is, he's never really been bad. He's just not done anything. He's just never contributed. Like whenever he's played, I mean, last season was, I remember him over at Pinatar. So when was it? July 24. So start the 24-25 season, he came on and he literally rolled his ankle within 5 seconds of the start.
Yeah, it's immediate, wasn't it?
And I think I remember like texting you saying like, Fiorini's got off injured already. And it literally seconds into the game. So that set him back. And I remember he came on, I think it was against Reading, like on the Tuesday night when we battered them 4-1. Or around that time, might have been Wickham. And he had a couple of air shots on the volley and all of this. And but he never early on. He didn't look incompetent despite the air shots. He just faded into the background and did nothing. Yeah. And then he was kind of written off at the back end of last season. And when he came back at the start of this season, he featured prominently in all the kit releases and the media blurbs and all this kind of thing. You think, right, maybe he's, a Sam Walker kind of redemption arc and all of this. But he just didn't do anything. I couldn't tell you what he stands for. I couldn't really recall any of his performances other than him coming on at Wigan. I think it was in the Carabao. And just kind of not really getting involved, not really showing for it, not putting a tackle in, not busting a gut. Again, not really doing anything. So hopefully, I don't know if that's confidence, I don't know if it's fitness, or I'm sure there's many things which kind of inform a footballer's performance. But hopefully, whatever it is the last couple of run-outs have given him a little bit of confidence, because he's shown that maybe there is something there. Very limited sample size, and he's not exactly the second coming yet, but if he gets a couple of games, if we can nail playoffs in the next week and he gets a couple of games kind of where the pressure's a little bit lower, maybe he'll step up, maybe not, maybe he'll just kind of arse around and do nothing for half an hour again and reverts to type, but we will see.
From what I heard on the grapevine, would have been around this time last year, I think it was, he is desperate by the sounds of it for it to work here, because obviously coming through the academy at City and everything, but he's been out on loan pretty much. He's just been spending a year in different places, so he really wants to settle down at one club. But then I suppose when you're coming straight into a team that's back going for promotion, you need to come in and do it straight away, otherwise you're going to lose your place.
You can't have 5-10 games to get up to speed. You need to come in and very quickly pull your weight and contribute and be part of that machine. And if you're not, then you're going to end up where he's been, which is, not even on the bench, just travelling to away games and getting the Alex Reid at Kings Lynn treatment, which is get off the coach, go and run around the pitch 6 times and then go and sit and watch the game in the stand.
Yeah, go and give it out to some Vauxhall Motors fans on a Tuesday night. Not even Vauxhall Motors fans, just the family of Vauxhall Motors players. Yeah,
in the Cheshire Senior Cup as well. Not a league game, not an FA Cup game. In the Cheshire Senior Cup, bags a hat trick and then knee slides in front of them.
Hashtag 6 in 8. So with a similar thing to Fiorini, where you mentioned about Fiorini, like, you sort of needing to come in and perform straight away. Malik Mothersill is another one who's very much had that problem, albeit when he was making substitute appearances earlier this season, you could see there's something there. You could see there was something there to work with. There was little elements of his game that seemed like the type of thing we wanted. Someone who's not scared to try and make something happen. But then the lack of game time meant he wouldn't do that. He had his best game so far was the game at Reading. Had a bit of a Barney when he got subbed, and then we just didn't see him again, and it seemed like the writing was on the wall.
You could probably say I was reacting to those statements.
Yeah, enjoyed that.
Skepticism. I think I'd have to check back me facts and figures and see whether he played. Because I didn't go to Peterborough back in November, so I don't know if he played that night or not. But so I think I've seen every single game he's played for us. I'd be right in saying, and I think you're being generous in so much as, yes, there was elements of his game.
I'm being very generous when I say elements, yeah.
He can dribble, this sounds really like he was dribbling the ball 20, 30 yards. Yeah. And yes, that bit was good, but then he'd run into a player. And it was almost like he was unable to link those elements together. So individually, yes, he could run 20, 30 yards with the ball. He could, play a pass 10 yards. He could get a shot away, but they were all independent of each other. None of those things linked up into a coherent passage of play. And I appreciate that sounds a bit harsh, but that was my perspective of it. And I think, at Bradford in the league in February, there was a couple of things where he was running, he'd do the same thing, and he just keeps walking into defenders with it. And I think it was Bradford when he was kind of clean through, not like an obvious one-on-one, but he was coming at a bit of an angle, and he basically back passed it to the keeper.
Yeah.
It was a really kind of feeble effort. But to your wider point, in recent weeks, he's definitely shown something which we've been lacking, that kind of intent. I think is still a little bit of quality missing. At Wembley, he kind of came on, that comment from Mark Morley there. I think, at Wembley, not sure about our best player, but he certainly tried to make things happen. I think he's still lacking the final bit to execute what he's trying to do, but it's definitely steps in the right direction. And again, hopefully yesterday, an assist and a goal will do anyone any good. So hopefully we can see him on Tuesday night and we get a bit more out of it, because if he can knit all of those elements together, then there's undoubtedly someone who's going to be a huge asset for us, not just in these couple of games now, but for the next 2 years or whatever he's got left on his contract. So, positive steps have been here before, of course. But the biggest takeaway of Malik Mothersill is stop wearing a base layer with MM11 on it. As
half a base layer with MM11, unacceptable. Yeah. So even if Ollie Norwood had an ON26 single sleeve base layer, wouldn't have it. No, stop it, please. Not acceptable. Yeah, utter woke nonsense.
Yeah.
So we just discussed hopefully qualifying, like securing that playoff place this week, and then getting to. So you'd imagine the likes of Grogan will be getting game time just in case we do have to call on him.
Oh, get them all. Get them all out. Doesn't matter where we finish. Get the Pengu.
Right. So that was going to be my next question. Leading on from that was, how much do you actually look at the permutations? Is there anything? I'm just convinced we're going to lose to Bolton, regardless whether it's the semi-finals or Wembley.
I mean, I'm sure there is, someone who's more grounded in the kind of the research and numbers and everything will tell you that I'm sure if you finish in a certain position over the last X number of years, it is worth promotion more than finishing in another position. So I don't know what those numbers are. And of course, you want to go into it, hopefully winning games, coherent, fluid, and in form and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, we saw in 07-08, we made a lot of changes in the final two games, that kind of Chester game on the Tuesday night. Once Hereford had secured promotion, we made changes there. We made loads of changes on the Saturday against Brentford when Havern scored. Amari Morgan-Smith played.
Yes.
A lot of the kind of like the B team almost played for us. I don't think we'd quite go down the route of, like Max Metcalf and
no.
Whoever, like Christy Grogan, Mapengu, Reece Watson, Vernon Bear and all this playing for us.
Because at the end of the day, we still want to be winning games and playing well because we want that momentum.
Yeah.
So
I think what you might
out.
do is Ethan Pye. Maybe not, we haven't got any centre halves, have we? But, ideally, you would see maybe Ethan Pye get a half-hour break or Kyle Wootton get taken off with 20 minutes to go and get him to put the feet up a bit rather than playing literally every minute of every game, every season. But I suppose...
Is Pye ever present this season? I don't know. He must have... I don't think he's... He must have been subbed or... Did he get injured at one point? Did he pick up a knock and go off
I
injured?
think he's played every minute of every league game. In fact, he has. The league game he missed was Huddersfield at home back end of last season.
Bloody hell.
And I wonder, did he get a red card? Did he get sent off at any point? Yes, he got sent off at home to Burton at the back end of last season.
Yes, he did. Yeah. Very late on.
No, hang on. He missed Stevenage. He missed the Stevenage game through suspension. I don't know why he missed Huddersfield.
Because it was just a one-game ban. I'm sure it was a second yellow. Is red.
He's played every league game this season. He's missed. I don't think he's played in the Papa John's, but he's played every other. Well, he obviously played at Doncaster and Wembley, didn't he? Didn't play in the early rounds.
No, that's what. Yeah, so that's all he's missed, then, isn't it? Bloody hell! That's get him a rest. Right, before we go fully big picture, as sourced by Chris Eaton, we've got a random county non-league goal of the week, which I'll play, and then I'll allow you to tell us all about it, Ben. Tell the readers what we've just seen, Ben.
I was going to. I was playing a little game in my head then of how quickly it would take for me to recognise the game because, I genuinely, when Nick puts these up, I genuinely don't know what they're going to be.
I don't either. I text Chris Eaton at about 7:15 and say, right, what have you got for me? That's literally the process.
And I wanted to see how quickly in my head could I do it. And I honestly think that's the quickest one I've ever had. Like before the corner or the throw-in even came in, just from that glimpse of the stand. I knew Jimmy Ball's penultimate game of 17-18 season. The game when Ben Hinchliffe made that incredible...
funny you should mention that, Ben. Got him.
As if people are going to think that this isn't totally scripted. No, they just happen to have that clip on hand.
We actually had the conversation of, do you want the goal and the save package together, or do you want them as two separate videos? I was like, well, two separate videos, because Ben will definitely say, oh, Ben made a save in that game.
He did. He did, and I did. I don't know which Ben you're referring to, but Ben did. And that's what struck me about that game. I was just thinking that. Two players who I think featured in the goal celebrations, who I never really considered played together. Obviously they did. They played like half a season together. Was Jamie Stott and Stephen O'Halloran. Never would have put that.
Yes, just don't. They're very much interchangeable positionally as well. You always forget that O'Halloran had spells at left back.
Yeah, because even though Jamie Stott, he had about 8 different spells with us, didn't he?
Yeah.
Of course, he would have crossed over with O'Halloran. That was O'Halloran's final season. Yeah, there you go. Still what I would consider the bearer of the greatest miscarriage of scan injustice. Scan numbers. They are not given to players who played in the National League North unless they represented us in the FA Cup first round proper. Which did happen a couple of times. We played Woking in 2016 and we played Yeovil and Barnet in 2018-19. So if someone played in those games, they got a SCAN number, but O'Halloran didn't. So he played over 100 games for County, but doesn't get a SCAN number, which doesn't sit well with me. I understand the reasons why it doesn't, but it doesn't sit right with me. Yeah,
and now it's just become a retroactive faff to do it all, because you have to bump all the subsequent numbers up, and it's
yeah, it's because of the very, very early days when we were essentially non-league. You'd have to go and give those players numbers, which would knock it all out of kilter. So.
And you could argue there's some players I wouldn't want to give a number to.
No, can we withdraw the SCAN number from them?
Yeah. Speaking of players of that era, I've in fact I'll put a proper one together for next time you come on. But inspired by Career We Go, I thought I'd give you the club we signed the player from and the club he went on to subsequently join, and let's see if you can pinpoint this player. Because I don't know why, but this player's been in my head for 2 weeks. Offered us basically nothing. So, joined from Telford on loan, and then afterwards he joined Marine permanently.
Telford on loan? Who went to Marine? Let's come back to that one. I can't think off the top of my head. The only player I can think who's now at Marine, we didn't go directly from us, it'd be Adam Thomas, but he obviously offered loads, so it won't be him. He didn't come from Telford either. So
we only had him on loan for, I think it was like a 1 or 2 month loan, and it was I think it was a signing we were excited about at the time because he'd won the National League North with Telford, I think the season before, possibly.
The Marine throws me. Anyway, let's come back to it.
Yeah, we'll come back to that later. If anyone in the comments knows, then we'll have a bit of that. Like, if anyone in the comments does know that, actually, they can probably just host this next week.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Right, what's annoying you? What's on your mind?
What isn't annoying me? One of those moods.
Both county, football, life, all of it.
Yeah. You need to be Jennifer Melfi for the next 45 minutes. Where do we start? That makes it sound like I'm really unhappy with things, and I'm obviously not. And I'm obviously, of course we could be back in the National League North, as people keep pointing out. I don't know. Give me a cue. Give me something to hook onto, Nick.
What's the loudest whistle, Ben? What's the loudest whistle in professional sports?
Finding out potentially on the Edgeley Park pitch. That was
not a good place to do it, by the way. If you're going to do that, you want to do it in a bowl type stadium because you get the acoustics, the reverberation, the echo. Not
one with an open stand. Well, it's not open end. It's got tarpaulin over the roof of it. But for those who haven't seen it, there was what's the other one? Instagram thing with some guy, I don't know, I suppose he's some influencer, whatever one of those is.
You can tell he's an influencer because he does the voice.
Right. Did he ask you to like and subscribe at any point?
I didn't watch that far.
He was on the pitch. So obviously I presumably given access, and it looked like it because the club had commented on it. Finding out what was the loudest whistle in the world. Bit of fun, bit of harmless fun. Maybe. Not for me. I appreciate I'm probably not the target audience for it. Something that sticks with me is somebody, should I name? I will say it. I remember speaking to Simon Wilson last year, who I'm a big fan of. He's had stick in the past, but I think, apart from the obvious, which we won't talk about, I think he's got a fairly unblemished copybook, or as someone of Marion's once called it, and he's blotted his cookbook, as somebody once said.
I remember that, yeah.
He's fairly unblemished.
I did that with my Nigella one.
Yes, I'm sure he did. So I like Wilson. I think he's good. I think he's a good guy. He's always been very straight whenever I've spoke to him. lets you know where you stand and all of this. So, and I think his kind of vision, direction, everything he's achieved, he's kind of executed very, very well. So I'm a big fan of Wilson. And he said to me last year, at some point in the next however long, whether that's kind of weeks, months or years, there's going to come a point when we are not the best team in the division anymore. And we've not been the best team in the division for a couple of years now, but we are going to lose more games than we win. And we are not going to have the kind of the best product on the pitch in comparison to other teams in the division, which I think is spot on.
Yeah, it's coming.
Therefore, we are going to need to engage and retain those fans who have come with us, who aren't the kind of the lifers in the same way that we are, and will go to everywhere and have gone everywhere and will put up with whatever shit is served up in different ways. And I was like, yeah, that really resonates. I like that. That it's kind of showing a bit of forethought, thinking about the future, but it's also kind of, and then it led on to various discussions about how that could kind of play out. So, but yeah, that sounds really positive. What I don't see how that now connects. And I appreciate that may have just been a throwaway sentence that Simon said. It might not have been kind of the direction of thinking, any kind of strategy or anything. It might have just been a comment that was a throwaway thing, but it made a lot of sense. I struggle now to see how a lot of the stuff we put out resonates with that statement. And I appreciate I'm on the more cynical end of matters and, you know, one of those legacy limpets in lower tier 1 who are hard to shake off. But Ollie the Chalk, like, I'm sure he makes lovely Easter eggs, but is that, and this pillock with a whistle on the pitch, and there was another one the other day. What was the other one that really offended me? This Wimbledon guy. There was some collaborative post, some vlogger, not even a Wimbledon fan, just some vlogger or vlogger who went to the Wimbledon game. And it was a collaborative post with the club. And he started his whole blurb with 7 years ago, this club was non-league and down and out. Like, no, we weren't. 7 years ago, we were on the cusp of our first league title for 52 years. We'd set club records that season. And it wasn't the first step on the journey, but it was the first kind of significant milestone of where we are now. So for some donkey vlogger probably won't know that, but I thought for the club to be an official kind of, I can't remember the fella's name, but on Instagram it was like, SK3 TV and Stockport County. It's a collaborative post. For that to go out in the club's name, to say we were down and out 7 years ago, was insulting to where we actually were and how significant that things are. But, and of course, it's easy to say that stuff doesn't matter and get over it. But it's important this kind of stuff is represented correctly. That is one of the most significant periods of our history. In the same way that when we played City and Sunderland and Wolves and Blackburn and Stoke and all them in the 90s, we look back on fondly. All right, the National League North the first half of it was grim, but that journey from basically 10 years ago to where we are now.
We've essentially won more games than we've lost for about 11, 12 years now.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, you want to see coming.
By any measure, the club is in a better kind of healthier, not by any measure, but many measures, we're in a better, healthier position. There's that really kind of nerdy thing that I did about our all-time cumulative goal difference. That I think in January 2016, it hit its nadir of minus 320, I think it was, away at Harrogate. We've turned that round in 10 years to the point now we're about plus 50. So that you don't do that without winning an awful lot of games. And I just thought that comment of 7 years, whether it was 7 years ago, this club was down and out. It was not down and out. We were, like I say, on the cusp of our first league title, almost to the day. It's almost to the day kind of since the Curzon game. The Chorley game is 7 years ago tomorrow when we lost 2-0. Warburton put one over. That's 7 years ago tomorrow, which means Curzon in 3 days is 7 years ago. And
that Blythe game we used earlier, that was 8 years ago this week as well.
But ask anyone who's been around for more than 2 or 3 years, one of their top ever county moments. Or say Nuneaton. Ben Hinchliffe, who's been here for the whole of that 10 years, said his favourite moment was Nuneaton. Yeah. It's important. And I think for to be dismissed as us saying we were down and out is a bit insulting, really, and shouldn't be allowed to go without being pulled up. But anyway, wider point, I'm off on one there. Wider point, Wilson's comment, we need to engage supporters. We're not going to be the best team on the pitch. So what's the story? How do we tell those stories? And for us to then have some throwaway inaccurate comments like that, to have some, I don't know, man, let's be polite, blowing who's got the loudest whistle on the pitch, and then Ollie the Chalk. Again, no disrespect to Ollie, I'm sure he's a lovely man, great chocolate, all of that. But how is that in a sustainable, great chocksman, in a sustainable, long-term, engaging way, helping grow the club? It's short-term, throwaway kind of content. It's not engaging stories which kind of speaks to the heart of what the club is all about. And maybe there are, we did that piece about the longest game against Doncaster. And maybe there are many more things like that which will kind of tap into those stories. And, not everything has to be really kind of serious, earnest stuff, which we appreciate. I totally get county's a broad spectrum, and there's different segments and cohorts of what will probably be considered kind of customers, which need to be appealed to. But yeah, I think those three coming out in quite short succession was quite off-putting, like I say, for a curmudgeon like myself.
What do you think is the most spurious thing we could get access to the pitch to do? So do you reckon he's emailed County and said, look, I want to do this testing whistles, can I use...
Probably. I think if you've got a certain amount of clout, I think, if I rocked up there with me on my personal Instagram account, which I don't post anymore, with like my 200 followers, then I think I'd probably be told to swivel. But if you've got 100, whatever, I think he had like 800,000 followers or something, maybe there is some value in it. I don't see it, and I'd love to kind of know what the value is to the club or what the return is for the club. And maybe, I'm looking into it too deeply and it wasn't a thing. It's just, can I just borrow your pitch for 10 minutes while I do this video? I don't know. Maybe we've seen an upsurge in ticket sales or shirt sales off the back of it. Who knows? But
maybe we should go on the pitch and like blind rank stuff. People would love that.
Yeah, that's kind of page one of the Instagram kind of content farm.
Blind ranking McKnight signings, something like that.
Yeah. Like I say, I would really hope that quote from what Wilson said, that we're not going to be the best, how do we engage supporters, is used to drive forward meaningful, serious stuff. And we see the result of that. Because, like I say, I think that really resonated with me. And I know for others of a similar mindset. And it's easy to just make me some grumpy old prick and everyone else is happy to go over it. But there's, I do know that there are plenty of other people who have similar kind of thoughts. So don't dismiss it. Let's remember what we're all about.
On that point about us getting to a point where we won't be the biggest team in the league, we won't have the most money in the league. Like that's right. It's already come. But if we're in the Championship next season, that league has changed so much since we were last there. You look at the teams who've come down from there. So Sheffield Wednesday, absolutely massive club who have been down in the Football League for far too long. Leicester won the Premier League title 10 years ago. 9 years ago, they were playing Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. So the only club comparable to us, really, that's been in the Championship, well, Oxford there at the moment, who might possibly drop.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're looking at Rotherham and Peterborough, really, who they'll have a couple of years up there, drop again, regroup, back up. There we go. Yeah,
exactly. I think
that's our level, you'd think.
You still see people harking back to when we were in the Championship nearly, it's nearly 30 years ago we got promoted to the Championship. That in the same way that when we got promoted to the Championship, England won the World Cup 30 years ago. Yeah. It's that kind of that distance. It's huge. So it's incomparable. You're right. And I think, because we went up that season, finished 8th, and plenty say that if we'd kept Armstrong and Paul Jones, he would have gone straight up, possibly. we would do well to finish 21st next season if we go up.
Yep.
Do very well to finish 21st. And I'm sure the club wouldn't say that publicly. And, you know, of course, we would aim to be as high as we can. And Stotts kind of talked about, you know, being a top 30 club long term. And it might mean going up to come back down to go back stronger and all of that kind of thing. But, yeah, it is a monster of a division to go up there. And I would fear for our current squad if we were to get promoted.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it feels like we say it every year now, but this feels like a really, really pivotal summer. If we don't go up, then there'll be massive pressure to make sure we do it next season. If we do go up, Championship, new league, some massive... I mean, it's quite likely that Tottenham could be in the Championship. Which, well, even if, I've not come to terms with it yet. It's mad.
No, well, even if Spurs don't go down, which I think the whole of the footballing world is united in hoping they do go down.
And I quite like Spurs as well, but I'd still want to.
It's like some anti-Spurs thing. And this is what people don't seem to get. You know, it's not an anti-Spurs thing. It's just a comedy big club going down. In the same way that if it was Arsenal or anyone who's been in the Premier League since it was formed.
When West Ham went down, funny. Yeah, Leeds went down, funny.
Yeah, Villa went down. It's good to see these big clubs drop. Yeah. So whether it was Spurs, whether it was Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Everton, United, whatever, it's good to see this happen. But even if Spurs stay up, it's still going to probably be a Forest or a West Ham who go down, which are massive clubs to be playing. You know, Forest could win the Europa League this year.
Yeah.
They could be in the Champions League. But in the Championship.
Yeah.
So...
But, I mean, there's a lot of fans alive now who've seen them win European Cups.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen them play in Europe, like early 90s and what have you. They were playing in Europe.
One in.
Oh, McGregor, yeah. I'm pretty sure he scored the same night that Jeremy Goss scored that goal for Norwich against Bayern. I'm pretty sure they were the same... Oh, no, it might not have been, actually. No. Yeah, Goss was a bit earlier.
I think Goss was probably 92, 93. McGregor, I'm almost certain, was 94, 95. They had that, obviously the red shirt. We had like the black sleeves with Limpets across. Yeah. He was in an indie band, wasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he's him and Gareth Ainsworth are like your peak indiesmen, I think.
He's more dad rock, isn't he? Thumbs in the belt loops, tapping your foot along, kind of thing.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, but he likes a bit of prog as well.
Yeah,
I bet he's been to see Jeff Lynne 57 times.
So where were we? If we go up, will we go up? I don't know. If we go up, yeah, it is a monumental difference from you know we've adapted very. You know, look at the last two times we've come up. We've won the National League. We finished fourth. We won League Two. We finished third. We're not going to win League One and finish second. We might finish 22nd, but I think, yeah, tough division.
Do you think there's an element as well if we do go up go up and struggle as I think we should be expected to? Do you think there'll be an element of separating the wheat from the chaff in terms of new fans, in terms of seeing who's actually embraced it? We need a reckoning.
Oh, I want to see us drop to 6,500 every week. Yeah. Within 12 months, I want us back at 6,500. Within 36 months, I want us back down to 2,500. Yeah.
That's got to dream big.
Yeah, dream big. Yeah, I don't care what division we're in. Get out. Leave me alone. Yeah, don't tell me to sit down. Yeah.
Yeah, don't ask for much. We should, before we go...
We don't mean that, by the way.
We should have a look. Tuesday night, of course, is what we're snappily titling L centre forward at centre half eco. So that's going to catch on.
I like it.
Mansfield made it trendy. Although Mansfield striker at centre back still has the number 9 shirt. Which always upsets me.
That. Like, obviously, we had Matty McNeil and Dave Baharrell both wore the number 10.
And John Hardiker as well.
John Hardiker wore the number 10. So I think if we're going to persist with Kyle Wootton, Yeah, we haven't really got. We can't really change squad numbers mid-season. Can we not deregister Button and re-sign him and give him a stupid squad number?
Oh God,
That'd be better. Yeah,
but it's nice to go into a Mansfield game because I mean I know we beat them earlier this season.
we've not beaten them about 20 years, have we? It's a Wednesday
Ridiculous.
Night, was it the 07-08 last time we beat them at home?
It would have been around that. Yeah, I think 07-08 was. I was looking the other day.
It was about this time of the season in a midweek in a promotion season. Weirdly enough, so I think that almost sent them down out the Football League as well. That defeat.
Yes, it was. Well, they're safe now, so that takes away some of the jeopardy from it. The fact that we should comfortably finish in a playoff place now, it's not. I'm noticing that with a lot of home games now, though, people don't seem as arse. I don't know. You wouldn't think that
people are. I genuinely don't think people are as arse because we've. And again, I don't want this to be like a tirade against new supporters because everyone was a new supporter at some point. But the very nature of it, we've grown our attendances so much that there are going to be people there who just aren't as arsed because they're not as invested in it. And that's an irrefutable fact. If you've only been going 5 minutes, it doesn't mean as much to you. So there are people there who aren't as arsed. Controversial. Discuss.
Exactly. I mean, I get to. I mean, I've gone well beyond the point where it ruins my weekend now. That stopped quite a while ago. That stopped pretty much as soon as we got back in the league. I have noticed a lot of. I think it is a new fan thing. A lot of performative. Oh, this has ruined my weekend. When in reality, you know it hasn't. Yeah. It's very Roger Nouveau from the Fast Show, isn't it?
I'm trying to think the last time County ruined the weekend. Might have been we lost to Kidderminster in 2012. 2013.
Oh God, yeah. That ruined my summer. I was in a foul mood that summer.
Yeah, I think back then, like when we were we weren't even a bin fire. We were just like discarded fucking like roadkill. We weren't even rubbish. It was just nothing. Just fly tipping, weren't we? And
yeah.
It was soul destroyingly bad. I remember going, I lived away for the first part of it, so I didn't go every week. But I remember coming to some games and thinking, we will never, ever come back from this. We will never, the one that always sticks out was it Bath City at home when there was that Sea of Blue march just before Christmas. It wasn't Bath, who was it?
The Sea of Blue march.
Oxford
no,
City.
it wouldn't have been
Oxford City.
Oxford City was, yeah.
It's Oxford City, not Bath City, sorry. And I remember sitting there thinking, like, we'll never come back from this. There's no way we can ever recover. And, and it took 3 years. It took Jim Gannon to come back to kickstart that. But, so yeah, the point of now, we lose, remember even when we lost to Orient last season in the playoffs, yeah, it was a bit of a pisser. Of course, I wanted us to go up and I felt we were good enough to go up. Yeah. But, all this kind of stuff, this hurts and we'll be back. So it doesn't hurt. I think pretty much everyone was over it by the time they got home. Yeah. It was a pisser, but it doesn't hurt. Like, unfortunately, and this is a kind of a bit of a race to the bottom in terms of the perspective, that there's very little that can happen at County now that will even register in terms of negative emotions.
Well, I was thinking this the other day. I think what I'm missing is a reason for someone to write a slogan on a bedsheet. Because when was the last time we had one of them? You weren't allowed out of your house, so that was that. Yeah. And then before that, I remember there being, after Jim got sacked after that Mansfield game, there was a Snape out one on the Cheadle End gates. But you don't get that anymore.
No, and there was plenty of moments warranted it under McKnight and then that in the Swill and all of this. But I think we were just so battered and weary and just like death by not even 1,000 cuts, but like 1,000,000 cuts of the continual just kind of kicking that we were having. People not gave up, but it was just felt a bit futile almost. And then, and that's where you give credit to someone like, George Hudson for coming back and Bellis for coming back and kind of helping get things moving again. But yeah, it's almost like now we could go to the Championship and get relegated. So it doesn't matter. We could then go straight back down to relegated out of League One next season. Challenger might get poached and we appoint someone else. Don't matter. Don't care. Fine. That's just part of football. Now there is almost nothing that can happen to the club which will register in terms of, and I don't use this word lightly because everyone's had it in their lives, but kind of the trauma of what happened. Anyway, we're going off topic, and this is a positive era for County, so let's not dwell on the past. We'll have another deep dive into the past, but yeah, if we don't go up, who gives a shit? We'll go up next season, and if we don't, who gives a shit? We'll go up at some point. Stop doing videos with the chalk and put some proper content out, please. Thank you.
Well, that's it now. It is. You felt ever since those seasons with Jim in the National League North, where we were inching towards, it was always a case of when rather than if. Yeah. And then same the following season, same in League Two, and it's the same here.
It's with anything, I collect shirts. I don't know if I've mentioned it. I've mentioned that in the past. Yeah. It's the thrill of the chase. It's when I get the shirts, I don't kind of sit there stroking them and trying them on. I just chuck them in a rail and don't even look at them.
That's a lot of people's mental images ruined.
The thrill of finding one and initiating that contact and driving to go and collect one and all of this. That's the buzz. It was a little about the county that when we were on our arse playing fucking Worcester City and all these other no marks. Something came up the other day, some memory on my phone. 9 years ago today, you were at Sporting Bromsgrove to watch in a 0-0 draw against Worcester City. Was I? Thanks for that. Cheers. And it was always that tantalising thing of we used to play this game a little bit in lower tier one, and it'd be like, right, who are we playing today? And we'd say, right, well, they're in yellow and black. Let's pretend we're playing Watford. We're playing Watford today.
Yeah, it's just I did this as well. Yeah,
so we're playing Watford. So it was always the thrill, and when we got these cup draws, we got Woking at home, and it felt massive. There was 4,000 people there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that Chester game in the cup, that game against Chester. I remember saying to my mates at the time, it feels like we're back.
Yeah, we're back because we're in an FA Cup fourth qualifying round game, getting turned over at home to Chester
against the Phoenix Club.
Yeah, exactly, and it felt massive because there was more than 80 away fans there. So it's the thrill of the chase, and I think that persisted through the National League North, and we almost had it in 16-17, and then we lost it on the final day, and then we got a little bit further against Chorley, and then we blew it, and then we finally got it in 18-19 after thinking we'd lost it against Chorley, and then in the National League, it was that thrill of getting back in the Football League. They were the two big ones. And now, getting back to League One is seen as this big thing. And yeah, of course, League One's a great place to be. It's arguably our level. I'd love to be in the Championship. Of course I would. I'd put me in any division in the country. I would choose the Championship more so than the Premier League. But there's no big thrill of chase to get there. But I feel like we've got what we were after. Really, anything on top of this is a bonus. If we get it, great. I'll buzz off it and enjoy it. If we don't, well, it has no negative impact on my life whatsoever.
Especially if you think about people of our age have seen us in 5 divisions.
Yeah.
They've seen us get to the semi-finals of a national cup competition and be on the front pages of the newspapers.
Yeah.
They've seen us go toe-to-toe with the likes of Man City, Forest, Sunderland, all these teams. So it does feel like there's a sense of having completed it almost, which is something I've gone on about loads. And
you don't want that to be the only time it ever happens. You want that, obviously. like my son started coming to games a little bit, and big Kyle Wotton. Big Kyle is his favourite player because we used to have Kyle.
Oh, speaking of which, that was one of Bungle's arguments on the old board about Kyle Wotton the other week. Was when you hear them reading out the children's favourite players at half time, no one ever says Kyle Wotton. Makes you think, doesn't it? I fucking lost my shit.
What does it make? What's that supposed to make you think? Because I don't know what that makes me think.
Children who are notoriously a bit thick don't have Kyle Wotton as their favourite player. Oh, well.
Well, anyway, my son does, and he calls him Big Kyle. Differentiating from Kyle Noyle. Yeah, and and if you mention Kyle Noyle to him, he will tell you that Ibby broke Kyle Noyle's face, and he's 6.
Brilliant.
So
brilliant.
So anyway,
that's definitely your son.
Have the memories that I've got. I want him to, associate Big Kyle and Ollie Norwood and Ethan Pye in the same way that me and you do with Alan Armstrong and Kabaka and all the others. So, I don't want to be come across like I'm gatekeeping, and I never want us to be successful again. And we've had it, so bollocks to everyone else. Of course, I want us to be good. It's just that, we've had such highs and such lows that it does feel like the emotional barometer is a little bit kind of out of whack, and there's very little now that would kind of register everything for, if you've got the absolute pits of despair as a 0 and the absolute highest of highs at a 10. I do feel like we've been at 0 and 1. I don't know if we've quite been at 10, but we've certainly been, very, very high. So it just feels like now everything's between like a 4 and a 6, and I don't really see what there could be to break through that. Even if we got promoted to the Championship, it might be like a 7, maybe an 8, depending on the circuit, how you do it. But it wouldn't register as like the highest of highs. It wouldn't even be like the top 10 of that, I don't think.
Another little thought exercise on the subject of possibly being in the Championship. See how this plays out in the playground of your imagination. So if we were in the Championship and we got that big FA Cup third round tie that we've been deprived of for so long.
Yeah.
For me, if we were in the Championship, it'd be tinged a bit because we haven't had to beat some absolute fodder to get to it. It's not the same, is it?
Not one, is it? No. I think, and also the higher
again, it's a thrill of the chase. It's getting there.
Yeah, because it was so distant when we're in the North. You had to win 7 games to get to the third round. So that was never good. I know we got to the second round, but it was very unlikely we're ever going to get to anything meaningful. So yeah, if we just go in the third round, first FA Cup draw Liverpool. So yeah, of course, brilliant.
It'd be great, but
does it cheapen it a little bit? It probably does. I've never really considered it. My initial thought is it probably does cheapen it. Wouldn't turn it down in any way. Would happily take it, and I'd have a full-on day out making a show of myself. But would probably rather do it. I don't want to go back through the second qualifying round, but would probably do it first round, second round, earn our right, and then get to the third round.
Yeah, that's right. One final question. I think you're the man to answer this. I'm trying to put together a bit of a cult hero 11 for us to do on a special episode. Will you delineate for people the difference between a cult hero and a legend? Because I'm going to invite suggestions at some point, and I don't want people being idiots. So I don't want people going, Kevin Francis. Kevin Francis would be to fans of every other club. Yeah, he'd be a cult player because he's tall.
There is a bit of a Venn diagram. There can be a bit of a crossover between a cult hero and a legend. For me, someone like, you look at all the obvious names of legends. So Francis, Flynn, Beaumont, Armstrong, Angel, Marsden, Bennett, Paul Jones, all of them. None of those are cult heroes. They transcend cult hero status to become legends. A cult hero is something that you achieve that by doing something a little bit unusual, by playing a role that's unexpected or, achieving something a little bit left field is how you become. I'm deliberately not giving examples because I'd be keen to hear what people think. I don't want to kind of people to say, oh, I think this person's a cult hero. And then people just say, oh, that person's a cult hero. So I'd be interested to hear who people are. I think if you've been part of our most successful ever teams in 96, 97, you can't be a cult hero unless possibly your name is Kiko Chirana. He could be a cult hero because he came on at Doncaster in the Auto Windscreen Shield, turned in one of the all-time greatest ever county appearances in front of 900 people, and then was virtually never seen again.
Yeah.
Other than to pop up on a Facebook group 15 years later to slag off Steve Bellis. That's what makes you a hero. Like, that is what makes you a cult hero. Scoring a hat-trick at Wembley doesn't make you a cult hero. So, like someone's put in the comment, Glenn Rule, for me, I don't know if I'd quite have him, but he's closer to a cult hero than Kevin Francis is.
Yes, he absolutely is. I mean, cult hero for me, my mind goes straight to Coyote Odujayi.
Yeah. You could probably have Big K in there.
Something a bit different.
Yeah.
Like, didn't get the credit he deserved at the time, but did a good job at the time.
But you don't want to cheapen it by just putting a load of kind of famous donkeys in there. So
Keenan Dunwall-Turan. Keenan Dunwall-Turan is more of a folk tale, I'd say, than
he's more of a kind of a punchline.
He's more of an idea.
Yeah, he's a fever dream, isn't he?
Yeah.
Came on, that sublime first touch to steady himself, and then shanked it out towards the corner flag. Was never seen again. That was it.
I love how that's been revised to being an open net. People forget that the internet exists and video of that exists, and people go, "Oh yeah, he came on, missed an open net." It's like, no, he didn't. It's like, yeah, he did. It's like, well, there's the video.
Although, interestingly, we didn't put out highlights from that game.
No, we didn't.
No, we were sulking. We lost because we got turned over 3-0. We're like, oh, sod this. We're not putting highlights out. So it only exists the footage because of the Yeovil highlights. Although I have screen recorded it and shared it many times.
I was talking to Liam Richardson on here the other week, and he said somewhere there's possibly Steve Rusk's final interview after the Notts County game. Notts County? Yeah, Notts County.
Barnet.
Oh, sorry, Barnet, the home one, yeah. So basically, that I would love to do a big night at the Plaza, a premiere of that, with like a Q&A panel.
10-year, anniversary.
Yeah.
Like
McGee as special guest.
Bloopers, director's cut. Everything, all of it. Get it out there.
Yeah.
I would love to hear
Pull on Blu-ray and everything. Like, get it remastered.
Exactly that. Yeah, get it in Dolby. I would love to hear
Sam Dolby
tones. Just dismiss it is what it is. We're trying out on the grass. Things aren't going our way, but we'll pick ourselves up and we'll go again. Yeah, would love to hear that. What a week that was. What a week in our history.
What a week to own a message board.
Yeah. Up until very recent. Let's say, when was it? So that was October 21. Up until, I think, deadline day, January last year. So January 25, February 25. That was still the busiest night ever on the board. Rusk. And just basically, you'd go onto the match thread and it'd be like page 25 at the end of the final whistle. You'd scroll to the end of it, click next, and it had gone to page 31 already. And it was just, fuck him off, get him out, get this clown out, Rusk out. Have we sacked him yet? Announce Gannon and all this kind of stuff. It was just a glorious time to be a county fan.
Oh, some people don't know. Oh, imagine living in a world where you weren't aware of that. Awful.
Yeah, and that's it. And the whole Steve Rusk thing as well, from a now deleted Twitter account. It was Halifax. I've got the screenshot of it. It was at Halifax the week after Yeovil, and we obviously lost 3-0 there as well. And the thing, there was some kind of, it was like defeating Yorkshire from like at Stockport County, and someone replied to it, Steve Rusk out. That's it. That's the one. People don't even know his name.
I think it might have been the most I've laughed at anything county related ever, and there's some competition there.
But once again, this podcast has descended into talk of the National League North and Steve Rusk. Just get over it, lads. Move on.
Next time Mark Stott goes on like a podcast and says, "Well, some of our fans would rather be in the National League North," he's gonna be talking about this, isn't he?
Yeah, do you know what? I probably would.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Don't like people saying that because it's not true.
No, but I enjoyed large elements of it, and I will do when we fall back down there again.
Yeah, and there's large elements of it that are much more enjoyable than being a League One team. You know, it costs £30 to go to get a ticket for an away game now, and you have to buy it in advance, and you have to go and collect a ticket because you can't just pay on the door. Like you go to an away game in the National League North, or in the National League, just turn up and pay cash. That objectively is better. It's easier. It's great. There are, there was no segregation at some games. It was a lot more free to do what you want to do, and you were closer to the players and all this kind of stuff. And some of it was better. Doesn't mean I want to be back there though. A lot of it was fucking awful and horrible and traumatic.
Yeah, I think it's easy to look through the prism of sort of the later time that Alan Lord was there and then Jim Gannon. Whereas if you think prior to, if you think like managers resigning on the pitch and another manager just signing,
having you away on Monday night in February.
Yeah,
with cars parked around the edge of the pitch like it was early
because they couldn't play Tuesday because the local athletics club. But it's just
exactly like I don't miss that kind of thing.
No.
But Odejayi, talked about him earlier. Well, us scoring 2 injury time goals at Hensford, a goal down in the 93rd minute to be 2-1 up in the 96th minute, with Obianoro and Odejayi scoring, running on the pitch and jumping around with like Tom Joyce and all these people. Tom Field, sorry.
Tom Field, Wade Joyce.
Tom Field and Wade Joyce, yeah. I miss that kind of thing. Of course, that was great. They are proper life, county affirming moments in your life.
Yeah.
That you think this is why, I love this stupid little club. Because Hensford, I don't even know where Hensford is, but I'm in Hensford and I'm on the pitch jumping around with one cap Coyote Odejayi because we've just scored a last minute winner in the 6th division. It's important.
The Nigerian international.
Like I say, is as valid as anything that we've ever done in the Football League.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, what a great way to wrap it up.
Get over it, Nick. Get over the National League North. Stop talking about it.
Stop talking about the past. Yeah. Right. That will do us for tonight. A good old bumper show there. Don't forget to subscribe using the QR code on the left or go in the episode description and do it that way, whatever. And follow County Shirts across all of your social media networks. Have you thought about going on the TikToks, Ben?
No.
No.
Well, I think I mentioned last time I went on there. I created an account to put somebody right who was having a pop at me, and then I've not come
That's
off
the most you thing ever.
Yeah, I've just not logged. Someone sent me a screenshot, so I went in. I've not logged back in, but I don't really use Twitters anymore. Other than when people get stuff wrong, I like to pull them up on it. I don't really post actual things on there anymore. So I'm more all about Instagram.
I'm getting back onto the Instas now. It's a good place to be. Right, thank you, Ben. It's been a pleasure. It always is.
Just been sent a picture of Ollie Norwood at the EFL Awards this evening. I'm not going to show you who he's with because that'll give the game away. But there he is.
Oh, excellent. Good lad. Scrubs up well. Just slightly back to the National League North. The winner, the answer in that quiz was Andy Owens.
I probably wouldn't have got that if I'm honest.
Bloody hell. That's a first, that. That's a first.
Yeah. Show me a clip of him playing. I'll say that's Andy Owens.
I don't know if they bloody are any. All I remember was that we got him on loan from Telford because he was a big man up top who'd scored 20 goals when they got promoted. We had him on loan for about 3 or 4 games. And I think his first or second game, he rocked up wearing the number 3 shirt, and I did not know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah. Do you know his name came
Not a
up
clue.
in conversation? Who I totally. It took me a second to actually think, is he real? Even though he played played like 30 games for us. He was just someone who's gone from my memories. It's Nicky Platt.
Nicky Platt, yeah, and
He
they
never
made
gets mentioned. Like
in the
13
double pivot with Tunji Moses.
something like that. It's like 2013-14. He played like he wasn't some kind of one appearance wonder.
He was decent as well. He was all right.
He's one of these people who, you know, people hark back to the bad days, and there's certain names that are like Sefton Gonzalez and all these other players get thrown up. Nicky Platt's name just never ever comes up in conversation. Ever.
No one mentions the solid but unspectacular ones who played a decent amount of games for us at that period. Yeah,
Exactly
never
right.
mentioned.
Yeah, there was Lees, Charnock, obviously Fag.
Do you reckon we can do a functional 11 with players like that?
I think
It's just no one mentions them.
There's like Cowan. You know, there's quite a few of these. Like I say, not complete donkeys, not one appearance wonders, just kind of faded into the background, lads.
Yeah. It's not that, isn't it? I'm going to make a list of them. I'm going to be going on the spreadsheet tonight, I think, and looking through all the
cult heroes. Like, genuinely interested to hear who people would consider to be cult heroes.
Yes, I will. I'll put some posts out about that this week as well. We'll get something. Then we can look at getting an 11 together and doing an episode.
You can't have Tony Dinning because he scored at City. Too good, too famous.
Yeah.
I think in terms of the venness of great player, cult hero, possibly would I allow Adam Proudlock in there? I think he's someone who sits near that Venn diagram.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. I think that'll be up to a vote that to see whether people think he counts or not. Because he's right in the centre of it.
Yeah, can't have Liam Dickinson. Too good.
No. Let's score at Wembley. Legend.
Yeah. Can't have Dickinson. Can't have anyone from that 07-08 team. I don't think. Like Gary Dick.
I think Proudlock fits cult hero. I think the off the pitch antics of solidify it.
I think Proudlock is probably the best cult hero we've had.
Yeah.
I think. Don't need her for a keeper unless you went for someone like Jeff Eckhart or Tony Dinning as the keeper.
Eckhart, Dinning, Angel, isn't it? Yeah. But Angel's already under the legend one, so is Dinning, actually. It would have to be Eckhart then.
In terms of an actual keeper, as a cult hero, don't know. I'd have to think about
that. We'll get on that. You could sort of say Neil Edwards in a way, in that he was a bit different, in that he was short.
Too good, though.
But yeah, again, too good. The Everton game.
Played like 200 games for us. Too good.
Yeah, it can't be. I
also think there's an appearance limit as well to be a cult hero.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about Ian Ormson.
No, not having Ormson.
No.
Get out, Chris. Love you.
You've done so much good work, Chris, and just undone it all.
Yeah.
No, Chris has just done the equivalent of Keenan Dunwalter and excellent first touch.
Yeah, you've sliced that one wide, Chris, from yards out.
Awful. This is why we shouldn't go on for an hour and a half. If this had ended at 1 hour 15, as we thought, then that wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have subjected the world to that.
I'm just having a quick scan through it, which I appreciate is not great television for me just to be scanning through a spreadsheet. But
Ian Ironside, Andy Dib. I don't know about Dibble because we got relegated.
Yeah, City
we dropped
from
the Championship.
City connection.
Yeah, we don't want. They've given us enough already. We don't want
that. See what you want. I mean, it's not this guy because he wasn't good enough. It's almost someone like Peggy Exad, who was a completely left field signing, Premier League kind of heritage.
Yeah.
Without being all reform, foreign, which I think helps.
Yeah.
Bit of an unusual name. High squad.
Tracksuit bottoms.
Tracksuit bottoms. But he didn't really do anything enough for us to warrant that thing. But it's someone in that mould is who your cult hero keeper should be.
Yeah, that's very much it. We'll get on that. We'll have an answer by next time on who will be a cult hero keeper. But yeah, I think there's scope for us to do an 11 of them. So be warned, Chris Eaton, I'll be wanting some clips off you. A lot of them.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, let's wrap it up there. Cheers, Ben. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, that's all I'm going to think about for the next probably week now. And also, what kit should they wear? What's our cult kit?
I've got one in mind, but we'll see what people say.
Excellent. Right.
Excellent. Right, Ben, you say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. See you next time.